Okay, welcome back. Now it's the second block of our interview with Joaquin Roibal. And in the first block, he introduced himself, how he started with programming in the high school, and how he got interest in cryptocurrencies during his undergraduation and master, and how he was gradually involved with Python and C++ and some other programming languages, and how he applied this to some automation in some games. And now we're entering the block where he will tell us how he got involved specifically with arbitrage bots and how this started, like when he had this idea, where were the sources that he went for, or what was his inspiration, because developers that are starting this career can have an idea of what was an experience of a developer that nowadays has his bot, so they know which steps there are to be followed, and they can have an evaluation up front of how this path is. So let's start it again. Joaquin, please tell us about your specific experience with developing a bot for triangular arbitrage, how it came up, how it started, and how did you pass by the obstacles. Let us know.
So I That was a very good recap. Thank you, Fernando. So as had mentioned during the development, as I was learning about cryptocurrency, I didn't exactly immediately start writing Python programs for it. So that began when I wanted to make a YouTube channel. So, I was like, well, this will be interesting if I write crypto trading bots for YouTube channel. So, just to teach people Python, and it will be interesting. It was something that I had done with my fantasy football team scripts and stuff like that, but I never really shared those, so it wasn't something that got a lot of attention or cooperation. Or And those codes are actually available on GitHub as well. However, it never got much attention. So when I started writing scripts for cryptocurrency, a lot of it was data collection, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna start using a just a basic bot that will buy when it's relatively low and sell when it's relatively high. So, for example, just doing a very basic bot based upon Bollinger Bands and RSI,
Yeah.
and just using those buy and sell
Just a comment
signals.
on this, if you allow me. When this issue of Bollinger Bands and RSI is a little different, but I have an issue with those indexes, because first they are based on a Gaussian distribution, meaning like there is somehow an equal distribution of probability, a normal distribution, like values are centered in the average, and the more far from the average they are, then more unlikely they are to be found there. So what happens is that when you are in a trend, for example an uptrend, then the average is moving up. So for an instant analysis or a short period of time, the shape of the probability, it moves, that the average is moving to the right side, for example, like there become it's the as time passes, you are more likely to find higher values higher than the average. And this makes some issues in the calculation, because if you look twice to the same place, you'll see a different picture. And if you are using the same probability distribution, the same curve, it will lie to you in the second time. So this is something. Another one regarding RSI is that when you are in such trend, it will soon be overbought when it is uptrend, and soon will be oversold when it is in a downtrend. But it doesn't mean that the move ended. It means that the index is exhausted its ability to indicate an information. Like it follows it till a point, and then it is stuck, because it cannot be lower than 0, it cannot be greater than 100%, for those who are familiar with RSI index. So this is my issue. Sorry for the parenthesis, just to clarify. And because I don't like that we use blindly tools, like importing. But so how did you manage this index selection, like the rules to say that it is low value so we buy or a high value so we sell? It's quite interesting to me to know that.
Um, Going back, I definitely agree with the criticisms with RSI because, especially if you're viewing RSI on a graph, it'll be low, and then if the price goes lower, it'll go lower, and if the price rebounds, it'll go lower and then rebound, and it'll change over time based upon what happens. So it's totally, I think, unreliable and definitely not the best metric. And so that's really where I started, was just let me do a basic bot, and a lot of it was learning the different signals that you need to use. Um, and my while I was at New Mexico Tech, I had taken well, there was a I'd taken a part of a club that was traded stocks. um, so, I was very familiar with a lot of the fundamentals from stock analysis and just applied a lot of those to crypto. And, there definitely is just a learning curve in using the libraries themselves when automating Python. When making a bot in Python, you need to know the specific commands and write the bot
Yeah,
themselves.
yeah.
So, I what from the very beginning, I was like, I'm just gonna screen record me building this bot and put it out on YouTube. So that is what I did. So while I was learning this process, is what that I used to build it and then put it on YouTube, and in order to also get some help onto the GitHub repository public code as well, because then there'll be other contributors to it as well. So it evolved from there into different strategies, and then I learned about different packages. So I expanded it to CCXT package, so that way it could do more exchanges. And then there's crypto signals trading library, which is all the RSI and Bollinger Bands already calculated, just sent to you as signals. And then, so all through these processes, I was just learning different strategies and making different YouTube videos. And then I came across I started just exploring different strategies that are very traditionally used. And one of them is making and scalping. Uh, which I cover in some of my YouTube videos. And from there, I learned about triangular arbitrage just by honestly looking at Wikipedia different trading strategies. I was like, this one's pretty interesting. Let me try to code this out in Python. So I took the very
Please, Joaquin, clarify a little to us in short, and just to have an
Mhm.
idea, what is
Uh-huh.
market making, what is scalping, and then if you can want to enter what is arbitrage. So we would like to know
Okay. On a very high level general term,
exactly.
market making involves basically you're profiting from very small amounts by adding liquidity to the market. So you're going to be placing limit orders, for example, just below the lowest bid. Let's say ask. So you're trying to sell whatever currency you have just below whatever the current lowest price for that is for sale, so that way the next person who buys it is going to buy from you. And then
Uh,
you can also do it the same as uh on buying. So you can say, I'm going to buy the price, and then you're going to set your price just higher than the next highest bidder, so that way
I
whoever
understand.
sells
So
to
I sell
you.
lower than the lowest ask and buy a little buyer, a little higher than the highest bid, like that.
Yeah. And that's the most simple, absolute simple version, to explain the concept behind it. and you can do more advanced strategies like
I understand. I
I heard
understand. So I
so
take the
so
first place in both sides of the kiwi. So I
yeah,
understand.
and
Very
you
good.
don't even have to do the absolute lowest bid. I heard a strategy. This is a very advanced strategy that works very well, but you don't even have to be the lowest bid, or excuse me, the lowest ask. Some people will take the average volume for an average order,
Okay.
and then
I
they'll
understand. I
price that out
understand.
in
So
the
if the
order book.
orders in front of you are lower than this volume, there is volume left for you a little up.
Yep, higher price.
Good. I understand.
Okay, so then this is how it works. You have to bring money to the market, right? But you're placing limit orders, so it's tying your money up. You're not exactly buying anything yet though. So when you buy, you're profiting basically because you're selling, at a price. It's like you're at a Walmart. It's
Yeah,
like you're
yeah, yeah.
Walmart and you're saying, "I'll sell you this item for 4.99, so that way whoever comes is paying whatever price you want to sell it for." So that's what market making is. And scalping is similar to that, or but it's again bringing volume to the market and then placing your orders based upon the order books and there's different strategies. They're all basically involved at bringing volume to the market, and in return for that you profit. But you're very much taking advantage of very small profit margins, as you can tell, through the small order books. However, and if the market turns against you, you're buying into a downtrend and you're selling into an uptrend.
I
So if it
understand.
like really goes against you, you're really so these are just different strategies that I was learning about through, for example, Wikipedia, and then implementing them through code on Python and testing out through Binance, and just making all this available through GitHub and YouTube videos, and building the community. For example, through Telegram and those different groups as well.
Tell me, have you made back testing to see how they behave, how they how's their performance? How was that?
Actually, I have a very interesting relationship or opinion on backtesting, and that's because it's interesting. I keep bringing up my YouTube channel, but it's a very interesting history.
You don't
Uh,
like back testing. Tell me that.
yeah, no, personally, I don't, because I spent a good amount of time on a particular software that has significant backtesting abilities and different strategies. And I spent a good amount of time doing back testing and that kind of thing, and not again understanding you can overfit to a back test, yes, and then it's not going to work. So not overfitting using back testing, but saying, okay, this is decent, this is good, this is a good settings you found using back testing, and then when you implement it using an actual algorithm, or the actual algorithm going forward, the results will be totally absolutely incorrect. And
I
that
understand.
and inside the I mentioned the Telegram channel, we have 800 people now discussing this topic every day, and this became a very big topic a few months ago, actually, topic of back testing, because we were all using the same software. um and someone asked the group, has anyone in the group ever had a real trading performance on their algorithm that that performed better than the back test did? And nobody out of hundreds of people, and at least dozens of them who were actively testing constantly, nobody had ever done performance that was better than the back testing.
I
And on the
understand.
back testing, yeah, you can get very high results. You can do 80,000%, and those are invalid because you're using such drastic values to fit it so well for that data set. um so you can't over, and that's always a huge issue is overfitting to
Yeah.
the data. However, but that's not the issue that I'm talking about. I'm talking about backtesting in general in cryptocurrency. From what I've experienced and everybody else that I've talked to has experienced, is just totally invalid, is not. And so I do not spend any time whatsoever doing back tests. And again, triangular arbitrage is more of like a market making and adding volume to the market and fixing inefficiencies, so it's based upon like very situational.
I
And
understand.
to
I
me, I
understand.
just
Very
personally
important, very
back testing.
important points that you're addressing. Very important
Yeah.
points, and I agree with you. And this issue of backtesting also has the points of how back in time should you look at. Like maybe as far as you go, the farther the better. Well, I don't know. Like what your performance when you're 5 years old can say about your next week performance. So I believe there is a stop in line in time that shouldn't be crossed because it's worthless to go beyond, and worse than that, misleading. Another point I'd like to add is a sentence of Nassim Taleb, a Lebanese writer. He said it in his book, Fooled by Randomness. It doesn't matter how many white swans you saw, you can never say that all swans are white, and it suffices to see one black swan to be sure that not all swans are white. So to look at the past will not tell the future, because the future is not a combination of the past. But in my opinion, that's my opinion, not necessarily related to back testing, if in a short interval you can observe some behavior and the forces, the driving forces of such behavior remain the same in amplitude and quantity and quality, then you can expect that on average, most likely, some continuation of this recent past might proceed again. So maybe if your operation is a disaster in back testing, maybe you shouldn't try it on real life. But as you said, to overfitting, very good term, uh, will not add much and might, as you notice in practice, mislead you.
Yes, and I agree. There was something I wanted to bring up. How it slipped my mind, however.
Please,
Um, okay, before you talked about overfitting, you had said you were talking about. Just remind me.
the swans, and before the
Oh, and the
swans,
goose.
how far you look in the
Okay, okay,
past.
okay. So back testing an algorithm, and getting and saying, okay, this we got a higher ROI, and doing things like that, I personally don't believe in. However, what you're saying, that the underlying forces and everything, that is basic physics right there. And I believe that you okay, if a price of a coin is going up, and it's gone up for the past year, and it's continuing to go up, and the volume is, let's say, continuing to increase, even on the buy side, pressure side, then it's a pretty good guess that it's gonna increase for the next, at least week period. And you were talking about what time periods do you use. Well, that depends on what time period you're looking to use. So if you're looking for a hold time of 1 month, I would look at an amount of data of about 1 year. And if
Wow.
you're looking for about a hold time of 1 year, you're going to want data of about 12 years or 10 years. And it's interesting because Bitcoin is barely 10 years old, is turning 10 years old next year,
This gives an idea
January.
how far in front you can look at, because
Hmm.
that's what's
And,
available.
for the first few years, there was you couldn't even put a price on Bitcoin, and the
Exactly.
Bitcoin pizza was sold for 10,000 Bitcoins. So and that was really the first time there was even valued for Bitcoin, and that was years into the ownership of it. So that the day and cryptocurrency is a new idea. It's not like the stock market, which you can tell
Exactly.
from the stock market. Okay, this stock is most likely going to increase 1% per year because it's done it for the last couple, let's say, decades. It's increased at that amount, and so that's totally different than back testing. That, and there is uh calculus, differentials. It depends on what is acting on it. F equals ma, and inertia, all that plays into
Second
examples in the
law
market
of
as well.
Newton.
Yeah, exactly. All of that plays into the market as well. So if a price of a currency, for example, is going up and all the order books continue to going up, it's not going to go down. And if a price is going up but all the order books continue to go on the sell price, it is going to go down, because another force is acting on it. So all that plays into, and however, those are totally different than back testing. Back testing is like
Exactly.
and especially with a lot of one thing that I've done in my Python is coded every single letter of it and made it available on GitHub. And a lot of the back testing is like proprietary algorithms on proprietary software, and all you're getting is a data printout.
Okay. Thank you very much, and we'll stop here for this block, and we'll continue to talk about arbitrage in the next coming block. So stay with
Yep,
us,
very good.
stick around, we're coming back soon. Bye bye.
Very good.